Do you struggle to take imperfect action? Well, watch this video where my guest, Sarah Parks, is going to share her story and how imperfect action has had such a huge impact on her and her business. Let me introduce my special guest, Sarah Parks. She's a mum of three, a speaker, author, parenting and legacy coach. She helps soul-led entrepreneurial change makers parent consciously whilst growing your legacy and impact. Her vision is for our children to grow up in a world of possibility where positive legacy creation is the norm, where feminine and masculine qualities are equally respected and valued. So let's get to the interview. So welcome, Sarah Parks. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you here. I would love to first start by asking you, why are we talking about imperfect action today?
We are talking about imperfect action because it's the whole way that I get anything done in life. If I had to be perfect, I would never get anything done. So it's a motto I have had for a long time. Well, the motto actually is done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Is what I've had for a long time. And I love it.
Yeah.
Because, and also, you know, I work as a parenting and legacy coach. And, you know, perfection is something when you're a parent that you know, it's really helpful to let go of because it doesn't serve anybody. And, you know, if you're trying to have like the perfect house, for instance, when you've got kids, good luck to you, because you're going to spend all your time tidying up and vacuuming and what have you. Do you know, they come in and go. So I think, yeah. And also, I think it's great to aim for high standards, right? So this is the thing. There's a distinction between imperfect. Just because something is imperfect doesn't mean it's not valuable, right? And I think we get those distinctions collapse. We think in order to be able to serve, in order to be able to be of value, we've got to do it perfectly. And it feeds procrastination so much. It kills creativity.
Oh my
it's
goodness.
like, you know, so much.
Yeah, that's so valuable. Absolutely, really important to have that difference. And the fact that something's imperfect it's okay, you know, allowing ourselves to be okay with it. Because like you said, if we're parents, especially, you know, we have to let go of this idea of perfectionism very early on. And whatever our idea of perfectionism is as a very new parent, it rapidly changes because there is no other way, and it would be a very unrealistic expectations to hold on to that. So that's so important, and so many of us are needing to take action, isn't it?
Absolutely, you know, and I love what you said about letting go, because there's a lot of that as a parent of letting go. And actually in business as well, there are things that we need to let go of that just aren't serving us. And perfection is one of those things. You know, it's great to have, you know, want to give a quality service. It's great to have high standards. It's great to want to, really serve people at a high level. But perfection, no.
It doesn't always serve us, does it?
I don't think it ever does. I don't think it ever does. I mean, it can. I mean, you know, I think striving for perfection can produce great results.
Yeah.
But those come at a cost.
Yeah.
You know, there's the payoff, the cost of when we actually are coming from a place of having to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, that's when people burn out. That's when, you know, and the joy is sucked out of life because, you know, you're trying to, and often we're trying to be something that we're not, you know, there's a lack of acceptance within
Yeah.
perfection. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lack of actually taking ourselves for who we are, and a lack of love, you know,
Yeah.
in perfection.
Self-acceptance. Yeah.
Self-acceptance,
Mm.
self-love, and of other people.
Yes. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's where comparisonitis also can come in. You know, you've already mentioned procrastination, but
Mm-hmm.
because we simply are not ready to say it's perfect to go, whatever that might be, then we're going to allow other things to come in and feed off that and just like really keep us in this zone of being stuck and kind of sitting and doing nothing or doing something, but it's certainly not productive at all. And it is such a sacrifice, isn't it, of our time, our effort, our energy, all the things that we're
And
putting in.
well-being, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you're aiming for perfection, nothing is ever perfect, so you're never going to be able to reach a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's ever going to be good enough,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I very much I go with done is better than perfect.
Yeah. I love that. I
And
love that too. And you have to keep that in your mind, don't you, when you're doing things.
mm, yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that came up for me in my business, one of the things that in terms of, because I have an online business, I'm a parenting and legacy coach. I help people with their parenting using gentle and conscious parenting approaches, and family dynamics and how that interplays with their business. And one of the things that I do as part of my business is I'm on social media. I do lives, I do things like this, right? Interviews and lives and things. And I had a block around this, you know, around going live. I didn't feel confident doing it. And because, you know, I wanted it to be, I thought, to be professional, you had to have it looking a certain way and what have you, and, you know, your hair done and, you know, yeah, and that stopped me. But also my background is in theatre and TV. And so, you know, there I didn't have the lighting, I didn't have
Yeah.
the script, I didn't have the production team, I didn't have the editing to edit and make it all look great and all the rest of it, and the makeup artist and all of the things, right? For it to
Yeah.
look great and slick and la la la,
Yeah.
you know, and look
Crazy.
perfect.
Yeah. So
No,
let's go
I didn't
back.
have all of that stuff, so it got in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the beginning then and first just find out more about you. When you were growing up, tell me like what was your childhood like and where did you grow up? And let's sort of start building this picture of who you are.
Oh my goodness. So I grew up in Wales, and you know, just before we came on for this session, um, an ex-boyfriend's sister actually had posted on Facebook some of her beautiful art of mid Wales, beautiful paintings of the coast and the landscape. And I just thought, oh, it just reminds me of where I grew up. So I grew up in a rural area where there is a lot of farmland, a lot of sheep, a lot of yeah, green hills. And I now live in Scotland. I live in Edinburgh. And you know, it's interesting. The other day somebody was saying, oh, Wales, it's not dissimilar to the Highlands, is it? And I was, or the borders, and I'm like, actually, yeah, it's not dissimilar. You know, the beautiful green luscious landscape is where I grew up.
Yeah, so that's something of that you're carrying on, certainly in
Yeah.
Edinburgh. So tell me then, how did your business come about? You know, you were in Wales, and you know, is this something you'd thought of from a young age, or how did your business develop and come into
Not
being?
not from a young age at all. So when I was younger, I loved acting and I loved dance. And I was like, am I going to be an actor or am I going to be a dancer? was kind of what I was looking at as a teenager. And I became a professional actor for many years. So, and I still do some work around that a little bit. Rarely now, but a little bit. But I suppose a theme throughout my life has been communication. That has been a theme, whether it's through story, through performance, through acting, through dance, through and when I was working as an actor for many years, I also worked within corporate settings around communication skills, around difficult conversations, around sales conversations, around all kinds of things. Alongside, particularly when I was doing the TV work, less when I was doing the theatre, because that was so all encompassing, because I did a lot of touring theatre. But once I went into TV, I did corporate kind of work using drama skills within corporate work and communication skills. So it was a natural progression for me to go from that into coaching. And the support that I offer parents is around communication. Again, you know, it's communication with their children, and it's using those incredible skills that I've been using for the last a long time, more than 25 years, let's say. But probably more, you know, over 30 years, but certainly for the last kind of 25 years or so, so using those incredible skills with parents, with and with help supporting people with their businesses, you know. And I love mindset side of things. You know, when I got into personal development, I was like, oh, wow, it was just like such an awakening for me, you know. Going to events and seminars all around the world and all this stuff. I did kind of a lot of training with various different people around the world, and I bring all of that into what I do.
So tell me then, what's been the biggest transformation that you've seen in your clients? It must be a story that's sticking out for you.
Okay, so I'll share one with parents. So I worked with a couple who were struggling with their son, who was really struggling with having big emotions, having meltdowns, getting overwhelmed, and to the point where, you know, he was lashing out, he was hitting other members of the family, he'd started kind of hitting his own head against the wall as well, with frustration and all of this stuff going on. So, you know, they were understandably really worried and had tried lots of things and didn't know what to do. And I had a chat with them, and I worked with them 2-to-1. So that's where I work with both parents, and I love doing that because it really helps the parents you know, both be using the same approaches, you know. So I love that. And I actually worked with this couple for 8 weeks, it was at the time. I tend to work with people for 12 weeks now, but with them it was over 8 weeks, I believe, at the time. And the transformation was massive. So in that time, they got to a place where they had a calm, much calmer, happier family life, with their son feeling happier and not having such big outbursts and meltdowns, because they learned how to hold space for him. They learned how to support him through those. And something beautiful happened this summer, was that I met them for the first time in the flesh, because we worked online, and they don't live in the same city as me. and we met for the first time, and it's a year since I'd worked with them. I worked with them for the 8 weeks, and we did a little bit of work after that. So when somebody's worked with me for a kind of period of time like that, they do have the option of doing like a top-up session with me or whatever, you know. But in order for people to have that big transformation, they need a good toolkit, really, of skills and of understanding and support. And then, you know, from that, they're great, you know, they've got that for life. And I love that. And when I saw them, you know, to see the impact of the work that we did still continuing, still rippling out, the whole family still benefiting from that is just brilliant. And I love it when parents come to me and they're like, well, we don't need you anymore, you know, we've got what we need, and they can run with the tools that they've learned and the skills that they have,
You've
to
done your job,
ongoingly use
haven't you?
forever. I've done my job.
Yeah.
So that's an example in terms of the parenting. With the business clients that I work with, I love working with soul-led entrepreneurial change maker mums, is what I call them. Now, usually they don't know that's what they are, because usually these mums or women who have like a big heart and generally want to help, you know, they have this strong desire to help and this passion to kind of change the world through the work that they do. They know that what they have to offer is life-changing, you know. And so they wouldn't describe themselves as that, but you know, and often they have this kind of spiritual connection. They have this connection to something bigger, and they can tap into their creativity. That's the kind of soul-led part of it, you know. And have this entrepreneurial spirit that they want to be operating outside of the 9-to-5 kind of norms. They want that freedom for themselves, their families, you know. And I worked with a woman who actually isn't a mum. She's a lovely auntie. But yeah, I worked with a woman who she's a therapist, a rapid transformational therapist. And you know, she knew that the work that she does makes a massive difference, yet she was in this place of not earning what she wanted from that, not making the impact she wanted. And because she was in this place of survival, you know, she was barely able to pay her own bills. And when our cup isn't filled up, we can't do our work. You know, we can't help others, because you can't pour from an empty cup, you know. And so with her, it was amazing to support her to really step into her power, into growing her business, into being more visible, because, you know, obviously my background with TV and theatre and stuff, but actually a side note, in terms of my own visibility, it got in the way, you know, this whole perfection thing. And when I let go of that and I just got into showing up authentically, that was game changing for me and for her. You know, I supported her to really be able to shine her light, to step up and learn, you know, some strategies and practical skills for communicating what she has to offer and having empowered conversations with people. And so she, you know, she got to her first 5K month, and she got to, you know, made her first 15K with the support that I helped her with, you know. And that just, I just love it when people are able to step into their power, step into their sovereignty, really yeah, and have that, and it brings freedom, you know, it brings freedom being able to do that.
That's
and
powerful.
so I've got these two aspects, you know. I work with parents, and I often work with, you know, I might work with people around their parenting and their family dynamics and their business, you know. Sometimes people come to me for one and we end up working on the other, because they're so interconnected and they impact each other, our businesses and our family lives and our family dynamics. So yeah.
Of course they do. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Loved hearing all that. It's great to see the actual results at the end. And like you said, when people say they don't need you anymore, it's actually a
Well,
happy comment, isn't it?
it
Well,
is.
let's dive right into it then. So, what mistakes did you make on the imperfect action piece that you have obviously since learnt from, that you wouldn't make now, but it is something that you fell into before?
Well, I think one of the mistakes, or one of the things that held me back was, when I allowed my background, because it's like, with that background in TV, and what are people going to think if I just show up with my hair all over the place or whatever? Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
If it's not all polished and it's not all, um, and so it was allowing that to stop me. That was, I suppose, the mistake, really. And the way I kind of got over that, and often take my clients through a process of growing their visibility, getting comfortable with
Mhm.
being visible, with being seen, with just turning up how you are, because people don't care what you look like. They
Yeah.
actually don't. They're not looking at the spot on the end of your nose. They don't care. What people care about is how you make them feel. And there's an amazing Maya Angelou quote. I don't know if you
Mhm.
know that one. People won't
Yes.
remember what you said. They'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And it's
I
so
love that one.
true.
Yeah.
You know, when we, yeah, people feel us. People feel our authenticity,
Yeah.
you know? And that is what connects. We are energetic beings. It's that energy that transmits.
Hmm.
It's not having the right, hairdo, or having your eyebrows done, or,
Yeah.
having the right lipstick on, or having the right handbag, or whatever. It doesn't matter. People
Yeah.
don't care about that stuff.
That's all cosmetics, isn't it? At the end of the
It
day,
is.
that's something that people will forget about. But like you said, people
Mm,
won't forget about how you made them feel. I love that quote. That's one of my
yeah.
favorites as well.
And
Yeah.
even having the exact right words,
Mm.
can be a hindrance. Like, it doesn't matter. In a way, it doesn't matter what you say. I mean, it does and it doesn't. But, you know, what's more important is that you speak from your heart, right? What's
Yeah.
more important is you that you speak authentically, and that you connect and you speak from your heart, because people will feel that. People will feel your
Yeah.
heart, you know?
So make sure that it's you that's speaking, like that
Mhm.
internal you. I love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
since making those changes, then what was the biggest change that you saw then, Sarah?
Um, Somebody called me an influencer the other day. I was like, what?
Oh.
I'm like, I'm not an influencer. I don't think of myself as an influencer, I have to say. I just turn up and I speak and I say things, that are on my heart, that I hope will move somebody else, that I hope will be of benefit, will be of service, right? Um, and so I'm a lot more visible. I've grown my business, and I've reached so, like, hundreds, thousands of people that I wouldn't have reached otherwise. Like, I went from a place of, I started a Facebook group years ago, um, for parents, partly because I felt I should. At the time, I was like, if you want to, that's what people are doing. I'll start a Facebook group so that people who have been experiencing the skills and using the skills that I share could have a place to kind of discuss things and talk about things, And so I did start a Facebook group, and slowly grew it without focusing on growing it over quite a few years. And so it slowly grew organically
Yeah.
over quite a few years. And then, I suppose, when I started being more visible, it grew at a quicker rate.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
So it's got a couple of thousand people in there, you know,
Wow.
sort of like in a year versus like 400, 300, 400 people over
Amazing.
years and years, you know,
Yes. Yeah,
because I
yeah.
wasn't, you know, I wasn't actively growing it.
It just kind of happened.
Yeah, it kind of a drip organically over time. So, you know, I have become more visible, and I suppose more intentional. And I
Hmm.
think, and I know that I I help so many more people. You know,
Hmm.
my vision, or a part of the driving force behind what I do, is to help create a legacy of feminine social change. Like, and so by being able to speak and be visible and be
Hmm.
seen, you know, I can impact people, and sometimes impact people who I don't even know that I'm helping, you know,
Yeah.
people who aren't my clients or don't necessarily comment or anything. You know, somebody said to me, this has happened a few times, where people have said, oh yeah, I saw your lives, I've been really enjoying them, and I've no idea, they're not even on Facebook, they're watching their
Mm.
wife's Facebook
Oh,
feed,
right.
and
Okay.
you know, I'm just like, wow, you know, that's
There you
amazing.
go. It's a message, isn't it? It's important to get the message out there, and the right
Yeah,
people will find you.
that's
Yeah.
it. And it
That's,
kind of, and it ripples out, and I think, yeah, we can have a huge impact. And but if we're silent, if we don't show up, we can't, you
mm,
know, we
true.
can't help anyone, or we help far fewer people, which was what was happening before I did my business online. I used to do my business in person. Like, the amount of people I've helped over the last
Hmm.
couple of years, and I haven't thought about this before, is thousands, you know, and actually more than I know, because I don't know fully. It's hard to quantify
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yeah.
how many people have watched a live of mine, or how many people have, you know,
You'll
done
never
that.
know, will you? That's it.
No.
That's fantastic. Well, we
Mm.
love productivity on this channel. So my next question is around productivity hacks.
Yes.
So what are your favorite productivity tips or hacks? Because I want to make sure that anybody who's listening, there are so many different ways of doing things. And, just what is it that works for you? If you could share your favorite productivity hack or tip, maybe that would help viewers to just get started with that one thing.
Okay. So I brought my book here. So Awakening
Yeah,
Legacy. So, oh, there you go.
that's better. Yeah.
Um, so I wrote a collaborative book with 12 authors. And in the back of this book, I shared a process that I've used for many years that I thought would be great to share today. And it's really for manifesting. It's for birthing an idea, from bringing something into existence,
Hmm.
and to get past that procrastination, right?
Okay. Okay. We're ready.
So it is, the first thing you do is you make a decision. You decide what
Yep.
you want to do, right? You make a decision. The second thing you do is you tell the world.
Hmm.
So you talk about it, you tell the
Yep.
world. And the third thing you do is you figure out the details. Now,
Yep.
what most people do is they have an idea, they make the decision, I'm going to do that. Then they want to know how they're going to do it before they do anything else.
Yep.
And so it's to flip that around. You make the decision, you tell the world, you figure it out. Because when you tell somebody else, I'm going to do this thing,
Yeah.
you have that accountability. You've then got to do it, right? So
Yeah.
you've not only got the accountability, but the more you say something, you speak it into existence.
Yeah.
And by speaking it into existence, you find the people, the resources, the knowledge, the ideas, the how comes from that.
Yeah. Love
And
that.
we think it's the other way around, but it's not. That's
Yeah.
how it works. That's how manifesting works.
Yeah. Fantastic. I
So,
love that. Working it backwards, isn't it?
yeah.
It's almost like creating what it is you're wanting, but then you want to create it in a way that you don't just jump into action, which is what people leap into because you haven't got it figured out yet. And saying it does mean that you're setting that intention internally. And I think that's really powerful because we can be
Mm.
acting on things that we're not fully okay with, and they don't necessarily turn out.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have it all figured out. And I think that's
Mm.
what people think. They think you have to. So for if you're a business owner, you're watching this, I expect you get a lot of business owners, don't you, watching?
Yes.
So for business owners, if you want to do something, like a lot of people will want to offer a service, right? Or offer a course. So you can make the decision. You can tell people about your
Hmm.
offer. You can tell
Yeah.
people about your idea, and you don't have to have created it.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
can create it as you go. Now, lots of people will think, I've got to do the whole of the creation. And it's
Yeah.
so powerful when you create as you go, because you are able to be more responsive actually to what
Yes.
your client really needs. When you've got it all created up front, right? And then people start using your course, often you'll find, they need this or they need that. And when you're
Yeah.
creating alongside, don't get me wrong, you probably want to have a bit started, right? And you want to know what you're creating, right? So you want to
Hmm.
have your structure, but you don't have to have created every single little part of it before you
Yeah.
start. And that's one of the things, I think that's one of the mistakes people make, is feel they've got to, you might spend 6 months, a year creating something, and then you end up running out of steam with it. You end up never actually
Yeah.
birthing it into the world.
Hmm.
So
Getting
that is
carried
another
away.
massive tip. There you
Yeah.
go.
Getting carried away too fast. I love teaching that stuff because you're right. It's very powerful to work alongside clients and rather than what we think is in our head that will work and creating it, then not knowing how to find the people who need it. It's like you work it the other way around and it
Mm-hmm.
just is so much better. So tell me then, what advice would you give if you were starting your business out now? What's that one advice that you can think of that would make a difference to you?
If I was starting my business now, I think, what advice would I give myself? That's a good question. I think to follow my heart
Mm-hmm.
and to come from what lights me up. Yeah. So to come from what lights you up first and create as you go, what I've just said. So to really, yeah, to come, like, you can't get it wrong. When you come from your
Yeah.
heart, you can't get it wrong. There
Mm-hmm.
is no wrong. This is the other thing, circling right back to that
Yes. Yeah.
imperfect action. You know, when we come from a powerful intention to be of service, to use our knowledge and our skills to support other people, like there's no right or wrong way. There is
Yeah.
just works for you and what works for the people you're serving. That is it,
Yeah.
you know. And I think we can get
Absolutely.
caught up in our heads with, it's got to be a particular way. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no definition. We make up our own rules, don't we? So
Yeah.
we just need to hold on to that power. Thank you so much for sharing all your useful nuggets, Sarah. That's helpful. And I hope that the 3 tips that you gave on imperfect action will also be helpful. So if you're watching this and it's something that you struggle with, then I would say go and definitely give those a try. Next time you're doing something, just try and recognize whether you are trying to put off because you're trying to be perfect. And if you are, then, take those 3 steps and just run with it, because you can't go wrong. All you can do is learn from what you've done. How can people find out more about you, Sarah? I will drop the links in the description below as well, but if you can just share with what you offer and how people can find out more about you.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook and I am actually on YouTube as well. Sarah Parks on YouTube. And I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn and all the places. My website is spcoaching.co.uk. And if you're interested in having support around your business or your family life, your family dynamics, then I'm happy to have a chat, to see what you're needing in terms of support, and to see if we'd be a good fit for working together with how I work. And I can let you know what I do. Group programs, I work one-to-one. So there's different options as well. So I can let you know about the different options and what's going to suit you best. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Sarah, for being on Excel with Mahnaz. Thanks for being here and thanks for sharing all your advice too.
Thank you so much. It's been great to be on today. Thank you.